Welcome, everyone. It's another edition of, I don't know what I'm going to call this show. I called it my name, and then I found out that somebody actually has my name on a YouTube channel, and all it is their dog scooting their butt on the floor. So I've got to come up with a new name for this YouTube channel. So it's not going to be the Marty Milligan channel anymore, or the Martin Milligan channel, because we don't, while we do a lot of cute pet stuff, we're not going to be having dogs. But I mean, you can't really go wrong with a cute dog scoot its butt across. How can you compete with that? They can have the name. So this week we are talking insurance, and I have two of my favorite insurance people here who I always go to these guys for answers to my questions. We have Raul Carvajal and Jackson Levers. Guys, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us about your insurance business? We'll start with Raul.
Thanks, Marty. I appreciate the invite, and I'm excited to be here today. So, I'm Raul Carvajal. I'm the owner of the Carvajal Agency. We are an independent brokerage that licensed and operating in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia. And our primary focus is on anything involving your personal insurance coverages, home, auto, those toys that are locked up in the garage right now because our weather isn't the greatest, umbrella coverages, that kind of stuff. So that's really what I primarily focus on here at the Carvajal Agency.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, I might say. Just Marty, appreciate you having me back again for the second one of these. Really enjoy being on here and getting some information out to the consumer. My name's Jackson.LEFEVERS. I am with Shenandoah Risk Management. I'm the owner, principal agent of that agency. We focus on commercial, agriculture, and life insurance here in the Eastern Panhandle. We service West Virginia, Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. Um, so that's what we do. It's what we specialize in. Help people assess the risk they face on a daily basis.
Great, thanks, guys. And yeah, I want to reiterate that I get a lot of people contacting me with insurance questions because I was in the business. I was in the data processing side of the business for over 20 years. And when I don't know the answer to a question, these are the two guys I go to for answers. So they are. And the reason they're here today is because I started wondering about all of the ads for different types of insurance that keep coming across my way. And the way I normally get questions for the show is I post on a lot of different social media sites and different bulletin boards asking questions if does anybody else have questions for this kind of stuff. And this topic is really popular because nobody really knows a whole lot about these specialty insurances. Everybody gets an awful lot of solicitations for them, and they all kind of feel like these things aren't really all that. These things don't really feel like they're real. They feel like they got a rip off tinge to them. On the other hand, you start thinking about them, you think, well, I am really exposed, and if this bad thing did happen, how would I deal with this? So I thought it would be really good to just kind of run down some of these common solicitations and find out if they're the kind of thing that either we should be looking for outside insurance, or if we just contact our agent, could we possibly already be covered or put a rider on our existing policy or add maybe another policy for less money than what these specialty insurances offer. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of go through some of the questions that came in, and we're going to find out what the opinion of our insurance experts are on whether or not we need to buy these things. Again, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you getting on the hot seat and playing Stump the Band for the insurance questions. Um, and so the first one is one I probably get asked this question once a week, and it's, should I buy life insurance offered with a loan? Almost all the time when you take out an auto loan, or you get a mortgage, or you buy something at a store like that, on a store credit card, or one of those 30 days same as cash, or deferred payments. Almost all of those, the first thing they do is they hit you up with an offer for a life insurance policy that will pay off the loan should something happen to you. And the question is that, to me, that my inclination is that's always the most expensive life insurance that there is, but you have taken on another liability and you don't want to leave your loved ones in a bind. So, what do you guys say?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think everybody should own their own life insurance. And when I say own, I'm not necessarily speaking for the employer side of things that they offer the life insurance to you. Um, you know, most people that we deal with that they have estates and they have everything set up for when something like when that time does come. And the debt doesn't go away when you pass away. um, it goes to the estate, and the estate might have to pay it, and that takes money away from money that you have allocated elsewhere. I would say that absolutely, if it's a large amount of money, especially cars, um, definitely with your home. If you've got a Amex charge card that you're running for your business, that you're racking up 100, $200,000 of expenses a month on, absolutely. And if that's something that you're interested in, I would say contact your agent. Maybe not use what that company is providing. Listen to what they have to say and collect as much information as you can, but also go back out and talk to your agent, because if you've got a loan for 15 years, we can simply put a 15-year term policy in place that's very, very affordable, that will provide protection there in case something were to happen during the period of that loan. So that's my opinion. Listen to what the company has, and then also get in contact with your agent to set up a life insurance program to protect that loan if something were to happen.
Do you have any additional thoughts, Raul?
Well, life insurance isn't so much my wheelhouse. I think Jackson is spot on with his response. I'm a huge proponent to stacking term policies. Uh, I think it provides a great value and covers those expenses. And term policies are great for loan coverages because they expire after X number of years. And so you're not keeping that cost going for a product that maybe you're not interested in keeping for the long haul. So, absolutely would recommend looking at that option. A lot of times, what you can find through a life insurance agent like Jackson is going to be way better price and offer significantly better benefits than what some of these other companies are offering just to cover their loan. So certainly give Jackson a call, talk to him.
Uh,
Also, the more with most companies, I know the way that it is with American National, who I'm appointed through, the more lines that you have with that company, the more discounts you get elsewhere on your other policies too. So that's an added benefit.
it almost, I'll give you a little bit of a follow up on this, because the sense I get that is maybe when you're making a major purchase, it's a sign that you might need to talk to your agent about an overall review of your liabilities and your needs going forward, just to make sure that you do have coverages in place, because you're almost all the time when we make a big purchase like an automobile or a home, there's some life event that's tied to it, and making sure that our family is going to be taken care of is probably a concern there, and that that it's probably more of a sign that we should do an overall evaluation. And while if while we need to make sure that that loan is paid off if something happens to us, there's probably other things in our life that may have also changed since the last time we spoke to our agent, and we need to reevaluate.
Absolutely. Just to piggyback off what you said, everybody, you hear it all the time. Well, we've all heard it. Anybody that's been in the insurance industry, unless you're a consultant for a buyer, insurance is a scam. Well, it's really not, because at the end of the day, when you've wrecked your car and you've hit somebody, or, your tree blew down and hit your neighbor's garage, things like that, if you're not adequately covered, well, somebody's going to sue you. That's just the bottom line to it. Everybody's sue happy these days. So I encourage, and this is something that I practice in my business. That's in my business model, is an annual review with the clients. Um, you know, Things go up all the time. The price of building materials, coverage on your house could go up. You know, Things like that. Just there's I could talk for days about it, but stay in touch with your insurance agent. When you get something in the mail, call, ask questions, do stuff, because it hopefully you never need it, but when you do need it, it's good to make sure that you're adequately covered.
And you guys talked about something that I want to review part of your answer to make sure that the audience understands it, because it's a very complex idea, and that is, the difference of between permanent insurance and term insurance, and why, even if you have permanent insurance in place, you may want to use term insurance as a bridge to get you through a time where you're going to be indebted or you're working towards financial independence.
Do you have anything, Raul? Or
No, please. This is certainly your expertise. I'll let you have this one.
yeah, so like Marty said, there's two types of insurance. There's term insurance or life insurance. There's term insurance, and then there's whole life. That gets you till you're 121 years old, or however old that you live, pretty much until you pass away. Each each type of life insurance is can be used in different ways. It really depends on the client, what type of coverage the client is looking for, what we want that coverage um, to do for you during the length of the policy. Term insurance, it's wonderful for young families, because it is very inexpensive. It's the face amount, which is the death amount of the policy, stays the same, and the premium stays the same. It's never going to go up. It's never going to go down. You're going to have a set amount of life insurance for a set premium a month or a year for however long the term of the policy is. There's an annual renewable policy, which it kind of renews every year, and every year the premium goes up a little bit. Once you hit the 10-year mark, you're going to see a big jump in it. There's a 10-year premium or 10-year term, 15-year term, 20-year term, and 30-year term. Um, Term insurance, like I said, it's cheap, affordable, good coverage for young families. The option that comes with term, with American National, I can't speak for other companies, but with our term insurance, you get the ability to convert that. So if you do purchase that policy for $500,000, um, because that's what fits your budget and things like that, in year 12, if you're financially independent, and you want to see that policy last you as long as you're alive, then we can convert that. There's no medical underwriting. You've already done the medical underwriting, if so, and you pay what the premium for your age, whatever the insurance company says that it is at that point. So that's, no matter if you get cancer in between there, if you have 3 heart attacks, you're smoking a pack and a half a day, it doesn't matter. There's no medical underwriting, um, at the time of convertibility. Um, as far as the whole life side, the stuff that gets you to your 121, there's there's all kinds of policies out there. You have whole life, you have guaranteed universal life, and you have a index universal life. Um, Guaranteed Universal Life gives you coverage to your 121 at a set premium, set death amount. But with American National, there's a couple cash out options in there. So if you want to cash out at year 15, you get 100% of your premiums back, things like that. An IUL, the Index Universal Life Policy, the way I describe it to clients is it's a life insurance account with a savings account attached to it. It grows in regards to the S&P 500. So it builds you some cash value there. It's a very good policy to have if it's if you're building an extensive retirement portfolio and things like that. And then whole life, we use this for people that are a little bit later on in life that are looking maybe for a final expense policy, things like that to try to keep it. They want the coverage. When you get to a certain age, you're no longer available for term insurance. So if you're at a certain age, we have to go on this side. It is a little bit more expensive, but the whole life is, I usually write whole life policies for final expenses and things like that. But it really just differs from it differs from client and the client's needs on every situation.
Yeah, and that's there are so many different strategies that you can use life insurance for that people and this is well, I always say you got to talk to an expert because your needs are not the same as everybody's. And while the policies are, there's only a few different types of policies, how you use those policies and how you put them in place has a dramatic difference in how they work for you. So, you might schedule your term policy to end when your youngest child graduates college. You may set up your whole life policy to be an augmentation for long-term care insurance. I mean, there's so many ways you can play life insurance into the managing the risk of your life that if you're not used to doing this kind of stuff, it's you really, talking to an agent and walking through. And this is why I think those additional add-on term policies that come with a loan are such a bad idea because they cover this one little need that you have, but they don't look how that new need fits in overall with everything else you're doing.
Yeah. One of the things, and the way that I try to present it, sometimes is, you insure your home, you insure your auto, you insure your cell phone, you're insuring all of these things, but you're not insuring your life that, could help your family, grieve, do whatever they might need to do in the event of your passing. Um, I would say just give your agent 5 minutes of your time to do a quick needs analysis just to see where, how much life insurance you need, where it would go, the money to get the kids and everything through school or, just whatever your situation might be. So I would highly encourage just listen to what your agent has to say. We're not just trying to sell you something.
Yeah, and you said one more thing that I want to make sure we cover and make sure people understand. You said you should own your own insurance policy. And
Right.
go ahead.
So what happens is, I hear it all the time. I talk to people and, I ask them, tell me a little bit about your life insurance program. They're like, oh, I'm taken care of. I've got, 2 times my salary at work. I've got enough life insurance. And I ask them, well, if you don't mind, let me ask you a personal question. What's your salary? Oh, I'm making $100,000 a year. That's great. That's great money. Okay, but double that's 200,000. You got 3 kids. You're driving a Mercedes. You got a big house that you got a $400,000 loan on. You're the breadwinner. Your wife's a Real Housewife of Berkeley County. And if in the event of your passing, their lifestyle is going to change dramatically. And $200,000, that's not even going to pay off your house if that's what you want it to do. So take a look at that. And then, if John, who's making $100,000 a year, if he walks into work and they say, John, man, COVID's eating us up. We're having to make budget cuts. We're going to have to let you go. The insurance stops right there. It's done. You get killed on your way home from work. You get hit by the beer truck. You don't have life insurance. So what I mean by owning your own life insurance is it comes out of your checking account. You have a personal agent that you talk to that handles your life insurance, it's not taken out of your check. Your employer doesn't pay it for you. You assume the risk on yourself and you purchase life insurance, and you pay the premium.
Right.
More or less than your employer paying it.
I was going to have a follow up about the importance of stacking a term and a whole life policy for that layoff situation, but I think we kind of ruined the leather on the whole idea of life insurance. We've kind of
I get a little animated over it. I'm sorry.
Well, this is life insurance is one of those things that it's a subject that I think is very important, and it tends to it's not sexy, and nobody's buying life insurance commercials on the financial news networks anymore. Like in the 70s you would see life insurance commercials on TV. You never see those anymore. People are seeing ads for Robinhood and all these other sexy products, but life insurance is something you should have, because it's kind of like the belt to everything else that you're going to do financially.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to the next question. And this is something that has increased in the last couple years. I own a couple properties, so I get a lot of this. A lot of these solicitations. Is the insurance offered by utilities, gas, electric, cable, etc., necessary? And almost all of them come with a threatening aspect to the letter, in that if we have to fix your gas line, you're going to be responsible for digging up your yard and repairing it. Or if we have to roll a new cable line through, you're going to have to pay. It's the water, the sewer, the power line. All of them offer this insurance, and it's all very expensive when you look at what the total cost of it is. But they always reference a very big bill that you could be subject to if you don't have it. So what do you guys think?
So let me start and preface that the claims that are made in those letters are true. Okay, we are responsible as homeowners for our service lines that run to our house through our property. If something goes wrong and a line breaks, are you on the hook for $5,000-$10,000 worth of repairs? Yes. And so that's why this is actually a great topic and something that we want to make aware, shine some light on it. The good news is you don't have to pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for these terrible insurance coverages that your utility companies are offering. Just about every single carrier that I work with offers some type of endorsement on your homeowner's policy. You can add it on there. Average is going to be somewhere between $20 to about $100 for the entire year. And it's going to provide $10, $12, up to $20,000, depending on the carrier, to do all of that work. Excavation, tearing up a driveway, fixing the line, pipes, replacing wires, anything like that is going to be included in that coverage, carrier specific. So make sure you're talking to your agent to understand what's covered and what's not. But you absolutely do not need to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars through these other companies, and submit to these threatening letters that we all receive. Actually, I just got one from my electric company the other day, and I saved it just for this call because I thought it was hilarious that it was a topic that we wanted to discuss. And here I am. Here's my threatening letter telling me that I'm going to be on the hook if my power line gets chewed through or something. But yeah, it's something that should be endorsed on a homeowner's policy. If it's not currently, or you're not sure if it's included, you've got to talk to your agent because you are liable for those damages. but your insurance can absolutely pick up that cost. And really, if you're looking at a month-to-month expense, it's negligible, 2, 5, less than $10 for sure. So make sure you're talking to your agent to find out what coverages you have in place.
Cool. Jackson, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, he hit the nail right on the head there. Yeah, talk to your agent. Ask the question. Just that's what we're here for. Our foot hurts, we go to the doctor. Ask them a question. What's going on here? Same for us. Just call us and ask us. And a lot of times there's we can just have a whole live stream over endorsements if we wanted to. But yeah, there's just make sure, ask the questions. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. You call us and your service line has busted, and you say, "Oh, I need to make a claim," and then that puts us in a hard spot. John Q, you don't have coverage. Well, why don't I have coverage? Well, we never talked about it. Things slip our mind just like everything else. So just ask us, and everybody will be able to help you out.
Well, one of the reasons I thought that this was a good subject is because they always sell the insurance for these things you have a huge exposure, so they kind of exaggerate how much it's going to cost to fix. And granted, I mean these things can get expensive. On the other hand, they try to diminish what it actually costs for their coverage by giving you a monthly cost. And it's just $8 on your bill every month. It's like, well, wait a minute. $8. That's like what, $64 a year, and year in, year out, and then the next thing you know, it's like, and the chances of actually having to cover this is just, I'm sorry, it's was it like $96 a year or something if it's $8 a month. I mean, the idea that that this is a something that you should be happy to pay a small dollar amount for is where I always find is they disguise the premium amount by making it a small monthly that just gets added to your bill, and don't worry about it.
Yeah, just to once again piggyback, knock on wood, I'm probably going to receive a phone call after I say this saying something's happened, but I have never seen a incident where this has happened. And to my knowledge, if your water line bust from the main to your house, the water company doesn't come fix that. That's your property. They're not going to come do that. So you're going to outsource that business anyway. The only people that I know of that actually come and fix it is the electric company if something happens underground. So that's another one, to think of. If you get that one from your water, your water department, chances are they're probably, if it busts in the middle of your yard, chances are I don't think they're gonna come fix it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Collecting, just because you have the insurance doesn't mean it's going to be easy to collect on it.
Yep, exactly.
All right, the next one is this is something that comes up a lot now that AAA has gotten a little bit of a different reputation than it has always had. Is separate roadside assistance better than what is offered by my car insurance? And like I said, I think that AAA used to have a much better reputation than they have recently. A lot of and it's not just AAA, it's a lot of the independent roadside assistance programs have had a lot of service complaints where it takes them a long time to answer or come out, send somebody out, and their costs have gone up considerably over the last several years. And so the question is, how does this compare to what is offered by my insurance company, and what I would, am I sometimes better off, choosing my insurance company versus a separate company?
So this one is interesting to me because this is very, very much the perfect answer is maybe. Everybody's going to be in a different situation. So, for example, my daughter is very young. She should be getting her license this year. My auto rates are going to be very expensive. So, I am going to do everything I can to keep my premiums as low as possible. So, one of the things that will affect your auto rate is the number of claims that you put in. And there are a ton of carriers out there that, if you utilize their added roadside assistance service, will count that as a claim. Even if it's a $60 towing service, that is recorded as a claim on your auto policy, which can impact your premiums. Not every carrier does that, but a lot of them do. So I have a AAA service, and I don't use the roadside assistance that is on my auto policy because it doesn't make sense for my situation. I'm going to pay out of pocket for my AAA membership. I'm going to use them to cover the flat tire or the tow or anything that I need, because my premiums are already going to be sky high, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep them as low as possible. I had a client not that long ago that came to me and was having trouble finding insurance. And the reason was he had so many towing claims that he was getting rejected by a multitude of carriers because he had too many claims. The guy had never had an accident, but he had used his towing services several times every year for the last, I want to say, 4 years. And so they kept reporting his claims, and he was actually getting denied by other carriers because of it. So it really depends on your situation. If it makes sense for you, absolutely use your auto policy if it's a one-off. But if you're looking to keep those things separated, like I am for my policies, go outside. Don't take the premium hike on your auto policy.
Cool. Jackson, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would just, absolutely, Raul. I think, in the vast landscape of insurance, everybody's situation is different. I'll give a scenario that I just had. My wife is a veterinarian here in town, and one of the girls she works with, one of the vet technicians, is a client of mine, and brand new baby, newborn in the car, got to travel in the mornings, like 15, 20 miles to get the newborn to the babysitter. And I was at the gym one morning at, this was probably 6:45. She calls me. She says, "Hey, I'm on the side of the road. I need to go. I need to get to work. What do I do?" And I said, rental reimbursement, roadside assistance. I had put it on her policy. You know, with American National, it's not very expensive. I think it's like $20 maybe for the policy period. I can't remember, but it's not very expensive. I went and picked her up. The towing company, she called them. The towing company came, got the vehicle, took it to where she needed to go. So it was an added stress, or not an added, it was an added stress that she broke down, but also at the same time a relief that she did not have to worry about where's she going to, find the payment to get this vehicle towed, or who's going to come and get it, who's going to be there. She knew she was taken care of, and each situation is different. But at the end of the day, the client had peace of mind that she was taken care of. I think that helps you, and that helps the agent and the client. So, I think it's a good thing to have if it fits your situation. Just like Raul said, if your dad's got, my wife, we have it, but she also has AAA because she's on her dad's policy. So if your dad's got it and you're on their policy, it it might not be a bad thing to take off your policy if you're, like you said, trying to cut some money there. I will say this: I think the insurance companies, the towing companies that they have, I think they might be a little quicker getting to you than AAA, because I have had to call AAA before and was there for quite some time on the side of the interstate. So
Yeah, this is where I'm going to jump in with my strategy. Um, I kind of doubled up for when it's handy for me. When the roadside assist on my regular insurance policy is inexpensive, I usually carry that and a AAA policy, and I do it mostly because AAA has a great discount with Napa, and I buy so many parts because I have so many terrible cars that I end up the discount from AAA usually pays for the AAA, and it also pays for the roadside assistance on my regular policy. So,
I think that's a great follow up as well. The discounts that you get for membership with like AAA or some of those other services can more than pay for the annual membership. So again, certainly it's going to be everybody's going to be in a little bit of a different position. But certainly talk to your agent and work out what's best for your situation.
cool. Um, let's take a look at the next question. Well, actually, I had one more follow up for this, and it might be the kind of thing that we wait for Jackson to return. But the other question is, does it matter if the vehicle is a used in my business? Would that change your answer on whether or not you need a separate roadside assistance policy?
I'll defer to the business insurance guy here.
If you're using the car for your business and the car is titled in your business, hopefully your agent has it on a commercial auto policy. Every carrier is going to be different on their commercial auto. Um, but if it's on, on a personal side, just check with it's going to be built in probably. On the commercial side, I can't speak for every company, but it's usually on a separate policy, on a totally different policy, if it's used for the business or
Yeah.
titled in the business name.
I started talking to dealing with some people over the course of the pandemic, and I was really surprised at how many people use their personal vehicle in their business these days, especially with the number of traveling nurses and in-home caregivers. They're using a personal vehicle to actually get to where they need to do their work, and that's always such a gray area.
Oh, it's a huge liability gray area.
So again, I think the answer to that is if you are one of those people who works in people's homes and you take your personal vehicle to those locations, please have a discussion with your insurance agent and make sure that you know what you're going to be responsible for and what your employer is going to be responsible for, and then have a discussion with your employer to make sure that they understand the liability that they're taking on doing that. So here's the next one is, do I need insurance for my side hustle?
Oh, the infamous side hustles, right? I'm assuming what they meant by side hustle is either picking up like Uber, Lyft, maybe doing some meal deliveries like DoorDash, things like that. Am I understanding the question right?
Yeah, I think this could be, and I think it might be, what types of side hustles, you know. Well, I guess there's a couple. Some of it is the added liability of doing things like DoorDash and Uber and those kinds of things. But there's also the idea of when does a side hustle become a significant amount of work that requires you to think about a business liability policy.
So that's a great question. So I'll start off by squashing a common misconception, and that is that your auto policy is going to cover you while you're doing this stuff. They don't. So DoorDash, some of these other companies provide some type of liability while you're actively on a delivery, but your auto policy is not going to pick up that claim. So carrier specific, there are endorsements that you can add. They're relatively inexpensive, but it does provide those coverages that you would expect. So it'll extend your personal auto policy while you're working on one of these side hustle type jobs. If you're doing it and it's your main source of income, it's more than just, one off, here and there. You absolutely want to take a look at some type of business policy. And that's where I'm going to defer it over to Jackson to talk about what that might look like.
Yeah. when you're providing a service to someone at any point in time, I would I would say that that's a good time um, when you're looking at business insurance. The thing that people or the consumer that I really like to educate people on is if you're providing a service and you're making a income stream, if this is your second income stream, first of all you want to protect that, first of all, and you want to separate your income stream from the personal side of things. So very important to maybe look at an LLC, things like that to defer that liability. If you're if you're door dashing and somebody opens a door and you know shut the door behind them and you break the door falls off and falls down, I don't know, you're that's your fault. The client that's in the home did nothing negligent. They could file it on their homeowners, but somebody's going to come after you. Somebody's going to want their money. So absolutely, talk to your agent, set up an LLC, go to LegalZoom, talk to an attorney, do that. That way you can defer that liability to your business. That way, if you're getting sued in some case, they're suing the LLC. They're not taking your home, your auto, your anything, any assets that you might own. So that's what I would say. And anytime you're providing a service to a consumer, absolutely you need to be insured.
That's kind of it's probably a wet blanket or a cold slap in the face to a lot of people that are taking on a lot of liability that they didn't realize. And I know we offer a service to help get businesses set up, and it's not really the legal part of it isn't really that expensive. But I do think that I think most people are kind of shocked when they find out what a business liability policy costs. Um, just because it's something that's needed, and they don't think anything of it if they walk into a restaurant and twist an ankle, to put the lawyers on them, with the idea that you're visiting somebody's home, delivering pizzas or whatever, and you don't have a liability policy, or say you're out delivering pizzas in your own car and you back into somebody, there's a lot of opportunities for liability there, and little things that could go wrong that if you're not covered could lead to bigger issues. All right. Unless there's a more follow up on that, I'm just going to move on to the next one. Um, and this has become a question that pops up a lot more because there's so much more. It's, do I need a separate identity theft policy, or is that something? Can I use whatever's provided with other products? So now identity theft has become such a common problem. I don't think there's anybody who hasn't been a victim of at least a partial identity theft. Um, but it used to be sold as standalone things that weren't related, but now you buy antivirus software. It's got an option for identity theft. You buy a VPN, it's got some identity theft protection that you can add on. So identity theft has become an add-on product to a huge number of other products, and I'm not so sure that all of those are created the same. And so this might be one of those. The answer to this, I'm sure, is probably going to be it depends, but also kind of worried about what are the things that people don't think about when they're offered these things that they probably should be thinking about.
So I think you're absolutely right. The answer is that it depends. There are identity theft protections in place in a lot of things that we interact with day to day. Just about every single credit card that I have has some form of identity theft protection involved with it. You mentioned antivirus software. There's tons of different computer software options out there that just start to come as a standard part of that. There's so many different options out there. I think the bottom line is that we need to sit down as an agent and determine what are your risks, how likely are things to happen, and what coverages do we have in place. Does it make sense for you to have a standalone identity theft policy? Maybe. Uh, I would say that we'll have a conversation about it, and I'll absolutely give you my best opinion on it. Um, does it make sense for me personally? No, I don't have one for myself, but I also don't face a huge risk when it comes to that, and I have other pieces in play that I know that I have the right protection if it comes down to it. This is another one that you can actually endorse on just about any other type of insurance. So your homeowner's policy probably has an endorsement where you can beef up your identity theft protection, 10, 20, $50,000. So talk to your agent, see what you have in place, see what options are available to you through their product offerings, and then make the best decision that you can with that information.
Jackson, you got
Yeah,
anything?
Raul, spot on. I know with American National, there's some built-in coverage right off the bat. It has a special limit, so if you face more risk for identity theft than the average consumer, I don't know how you would come to that conclusion, but however you do, and if you do, um, talk to your agent. Yeah, beef those limits up. If you got some more exposure than the regular consumer, highly recommend it. Taking a look at it, seeing what we can do for you.
Yeah, I think the one of the most important parts of selecting identity theft insurance is that it also include in the coverage um, the or support in helping you get the damage rectified, because the time it takes you to make all of the phone calls, sit on hold, talk to all the companies, and sometimes you have to do it multiple times, is really where that a lot of your loss isn't necessarily the monetary, because a lot of that stuff gets written off by the businesses and credit cards and whatnot, but you can't get the time back that it takes you to fix a lot of that. And you can end up spending a work week on the telephone trying to get that stuff resolved. The other issue that I see with identity theft is when I have something that's really important for to buy, and it's part of my protection, I'm always a little concerned if I'm buying it as a side effect of buying something else. So if I'm getting it as part of my credit card, or I'm getting it as part of my antivirus, then you all of a sudden create a dependency where you need to remember that, hey, I got a great new credit card offer, let me switch cards. All of a sudden, that protection that you're relying upon is gone. Or if you do if you change the your virus protection, or you change a software product because the it's not, your needs change, and all of a sudden that important protection that you were relying upon and you did all the investigation on was bought as a side effect. All of a sudden now you don't have it, and you got to go back to the drawing board. So um, personally, one of the strategy that I like for identity protection that's a little bit different is if you buy a lot of products like prepaid legal services or legal advice services companies. A lot of them include identity theft in their products. So companies like Legal Shield will have identity theft as an option on those. And a lot of times we're buying those because we want to have a place to go for our business or our personal life to ask legal questions. So that might not be a bad option if you don't want to put it on as a standalone policy or part of your other policies that you would have for your business or your home. You guys agree with that or disagree, or any more comments?
No, I agree. I'm glad you brought up Legal Shield. I completely forgot about that one, but that's another great option that's out there that provides a lot of different services. Identity theft is a big part of it too, though. But yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. Again, evaluate what you have. Make sure that you're making smart choices, you understand the risks that you're facing and that you have the right coverages in place.
And
Talk to your agent.
yeah. And one last thing before we leave this is don't think that identity theft insurance is a panacea that is going to prevent your identity from being stolen. Uh, they None of those products can do that. All they can do is help you repair the damage after it happens. And even the biggest danger that you have for identity theft is with the IRS. Just about everybody is going to face their social security number being stolen for a tax filing at some point in their life. And none of the services that are offered are going to be able to fix that. Your Probably your tax preparer is not going to be able to fix it for you. So just be aware that the most common identity theft cannot be fixed by these products because it's perpetrated against the government, and the government doesn't isn't really equipped to handle fixing it for you. So just be prepared to know that there are limits to what identity theft insurance can fix.
Great point.
All right. Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. We're coming up on our time, and we are now at the last question. And this one, I've heard the ads. I don't know anybody who's ever needed this, but the question is, do I need life flight insurance? And I was like, why would anybody need life flight insurance? Isn't that covered by your medical insurance? And so I looked into it, and it's not. And I was like, oh well, this seems like a really good question. So what do you guys think? Is this needed, or is it incorporated in something else? Is my research wrong?
Not wrong, and I will preface by saying that I am not a health insurance advisor in any scope. This is certainly out of my wheelhouse. So my first piece of advice is going to be to talk to your health insurance provider, find out what coverages are included and what coverages are not. It really does vary carrier to carrier as to whether or not something like a helicopter transport in an emergency is going to be covered or not. I can tell you that you want to get that answer because you don't want to get smacked with a bill upwards of $40,000, $50,000 for something that you thought was covered and it turns out was not. So please talk to your agent, see what you have, see what you don't have, and then you can go from there as to whether or not you need to pick up a supplemental policy to make sure that you're covered the right way.
And and I was actually surprised by that. You verified that, these are not scare tactics that these companies are using from what it could potentially cost you. It really could cost you that much if depending on where you are and you need this service. And it is generally not taken care of on most or most health insurance policies. So that was a surprise to me when you started talking about this. I didn't even think about it. I thought, well, it's just like an ambulance insurance, and generally ambulance insurance is at least partially covered. And then you started talking about how much it could cost, and I'm like, oh my god, I had no idea.
And some carriers even include language whether or not it was medically necessary for you to be transported. I don't know about you, but that leaves a lot of gray area in my mind because I promise you what I think is medically necessary is going to be different than what the insurance company thought was medically necessary. But then again, my fiance tells me that I'm a crybaby and I'd probably want to use a helicopter when I stub my toe. So.
Yeah. Talk to your health insurance agent. If you have your personal health insurance, just to kind of reiterate what Raul said, there's a young lady here in town that I know. She's on her was on her second pregnancy. She delivered a second healthy baby, so that was good. But she had to be transported from here to another hospital, and I was talking to her, and I think the bill was somewhere around $77,000 just to get her there. I don't know what happened. I don't know, how they charge or what the rate, things is, but it is very, very expensive, heaven forbid something like that were to happen and you were to need that service. So if it's something that is in the back of your mind, and it's something you want to get covered, talk to the person who handles your health insurance. I am not I do not do health insurance, so talk to somebody that does.
Yeah, to me, when we uncovered this, I thought this was just going to be a joke. I didn't really think that this was going to be an important part of the conversation. I thought it was going to be, yeah, no, it's just a junk insurance. Don't worry about it. And then we started looking into it, and it became, okay. Not only is this a problem that most people are going to have to solve, and it probably is, it probably affects very few people. But when it does, this could be, this could put you in, into a serious financial problem. I mean, uh, but because most people get their health insurance through work, they can't pick up the phone and call a knowledgeable
Yeah.
insurance person. They're going to get somebody in their health insurance bureaucracy who's, on a call center answering questions and is probably not a licensed agent who can cover all of this stuff. I was going to try and reach out to, you guys probably know Jerry Mayhew. I was going to see if he had any further information on this kind of stuff, because again, I when I saw that, when I saw this question, I was like, oh Jesus, this is going to be funny, and it's going to turn out to be just, not that important. But holy crap, this could be the biggest hole most people have in their personal risk, especially if you like going out and like to the desert, or you like going hiking, or if you go fishing out on a lake. There are a lot of places where, man, you could get yourself into this and not realize it. Or maybe a skiing accident or something. That it's some rare injury or rare accident, and the next thing you know, or like you said, Jackson, you could have a medical necessity, a medical condition that you don't know about, or a medical emergency that requires you to be transported that way, and the next thing you know, wow. So I will probably be doing a follow up on this, just because of how significant the costs were, and just how difficult it was to find out more information about whether you're covered or not until you need it, and then you find out that you're not. So, cool. Um, I want to check to see if we had any additional questions come in while we were online. I checked earlier and we didn't have anything. Um, so nobody piped in with anything in the chat. I did want to kind of close out with a couple items on um, other places that you might be insured, and other insurances that you might want to think about getting, or at least making sure that you're covered, um, and looking for different ways to cover yourself cheaply. So one of the things that comes to mind is cell phones and other electronics. A lot of times those can be very expensive to repair, and the warranties on those things go by really quickly. And a lot of times breaking them is not covered by the warranty. The good news is that a lot of times there is coverage built into that, in the credit card that you use. Also, a lot of the new antivirus products have device coverage built into them. So if you have a broken screen on your cell phone, a lot of times, if you have Norton, you might have, and you have that device protected by Norton, you might have screen care coverage included. So always make sure that you know which credit card you use to make big purchases like that, and make sure that it's a credit card that includes that type of insurance, because you never want to be without it. That could almost double or triple the amount of time you're protected for those kind of expensive things. Also, another insurance that a lot of times we get hit with is trip insurance by like hotels and airlines. Um, you might not know this, but a lot of credit cards have trip insurance built in if you use the credit card. Also, a lot of the online services that are used for booking vacations have built in trip insurance. and now a lot of your you know the the travel industry is kind of hurt by the online booking. So now, if you go through a travel agent, a lot of times they'll have that kind of stuff built in as well. So a lot of the PNC and a lot of the PNC product coverage that you might be tempted to buy, or you might be tempted to need, is included in a lot of your purchases. So we didn't get a lot of questions on that, and there wasn't anything I could put together cleanly. But I did want to mention some of that stuff before we signed off, because that is a lot of questions that come in. I just bought this new cell phone and dropped it and broke the screen. What do I do? I'll check your credit card. You're probably covered. And with that, I think that's all of our questions. You guys, why don't you pitch your businesses one more time before we get out of here?
Go ahead, Raul.
Thank you. So again, Raul Carvajal with the Carvajal Agency. We're an independent brokerage, appointed with 39 different carriers at this point. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we shop the open market for our consumers. So we are not beholden to any one carrier. We go out and we find the best rates and the best coverage available and put you on those policies. Doesn't really matter what company we go with. You have one agent. You're looking at them right here, and I make sure that you're taken care of. So if you are looking to save some money, you're looking to explore your options on some carriers that maybe you've never even heard of, I'd love to sit down with you and take a look at your full portfolio and see what we can do for you. It's Raul Carvajal with the Carvajal Agency. If you go to my website, you can schedule an appointment today. That's www.timeforcoverage.com.
Great. Jackson?
Yeah, thanks, Marty. Thanks for having us back on. Really enjoyed it, getting the information out to the consumer. Jackson Lefevers again with Shenandoah Risk Management. We save time, save money, and give you peace of mind at the end of the day. That's what we're here to do. If you're looking, we take a hands-on approach. We're going to sit down. We're going to look at your coverages, see if there's any gaps, see where we need to beef something up, ask you questions. It's not going to be just you email us your deck pages and we compare coverages and price is the bottom line. Price all the time. It's a big one. I understand that, but an extra $1,000 might save you $2 million. You never know. So that's how we do business at Shenandoah Risk Management. So if that's how you practice your business and that's in your business model, please give us a call or give us an email, jackson.lefevers at american-national.com. Again, Jackson Lefevers with Shenandoah Risk Management.
Again, thanks, guys. I can't express enough how important it is to talk to qualified agents when it comes time to deal with your insurance needs. I know insurance seems expensive, and it always is, but you can save an enormous amount of money by planning out your insurance needs, talking to the agents, making sure you cover yourself with just what you need. Understand that. Don't buy the junk insurances. Make sure that you have comparisons of what you need and what you're actually doing. Don't be just another cookie cutter being slammed for whatever they normally sell to people. Again, I use these guys because they sit down and talk to me about what my specific needs are. Because you do that, you save a significant amount of money, even though you're making sure that you're covered for specific things that you really do need, and you sleep a lot better at night knowing that. And again, I am Martin Milligan with WSI. That stands for We Simplify the Internet. We turn searchers into visitors, visitors into buyers, and buyers into lifelong clients. We are a full-service digital marketing company. We do everything from your websites to your social media presence to your email marketing, your automation, your CRM, just basically anything you need to help your business grow. We also provide a lot of staffing support. It's really hard to hire people these days, and it's really hard to go out and find that social media manager. It's hard to find that copywriter. It's hard to find that design person to keep your business going. We can take care of all of that. And really, if you're overwhelmed and you need to automate some of your processes or to streamline some of your processes, give us a call because we can help you with that too. And as far as that, with that, we're going to be out for this week. Thank you guys. I don't have a guest set up for next week. I have a really cool topic in mind, but I haven't been able to verify. So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we are definitely going to be working on a very interesting show, especially for your family heirlooms. So again, I'm Marty Milligan with WSI. Thank you to my guests, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Bye bye.
Thanks.